Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Coffee with Evan. Hope your day's going well. Let's get started. Today, I do have some things I want to talk about, and I'll bring up my notes. Teamwork is the first thing we're going to talk about. Teamwork is essential in this industry, in weddings specifically. I mean, in production in general, but in weddings specifically is what I'm talking about today. And the conversation might go other places, but that's what we're going to start with. So I think I've said this in other podcasts, but I'll reiterate it. I can work with literally any type of photographer, other shooters, planners, stuff like that. But the one thing that I just can't tolerate is just like disregard for other vendors or people in general for the whole experience side of the spectrum for an event. And I recently had an experience that I will not name names, but there's a photographer that is just wasn't thinking about the whole day, like the whole team as a whole, and wasn't really looking out for the couple's best interests. And I know, things you can forget things on a wedding day. It can happen, although if you're on top of your game, it shouldn't happen. Because those days are so essential. Like those don't happen all the time. And so the photographer was doing family session, just getting those photos done, and then took off. And the planner didn't mention it to me. And mind you, I had a team of people, so I had a second videographer and a content creator with me, and we were just setting up lights. So I was helping out because I didn't need any other family stuff. And yeah, no one told me, and they left, and they literally only had a few minutes, which I would have liked to be a part of. So I rushed down there, and I was like, well, at first I was asking, like, where's the bride and groom? Where are they off to? And they're like, oh, the photographer took them to do the sunset photos. And I was like, you're saying that they took them without me? And I'm like, okay, cool. So then I talked to my guy, and I'm like, hey, I'm heading over really quick. I'll be back, but hold down the fort type of thing. And then I get there, and they're literally coming back from the, sorry about that. I'm back. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And it's not that I was like, that's a bummer. You're not a team player. That's like, that sucks. But also it was more of just the moments that the couple is missing from the day. And of course we have tons of other footage, but like that footage, and good thing that the couple was a very relaxed couple. They didn't like, they weren't super high stress about anything. And so luckily they were okay with that. I was able to get a couple shots of them as they walked out of that like deserty space that we were using. But literally I was only there for a minute, and then I was back driving to the venue for the grand entrance. The rest of the day though, that was smooth. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to reiterate that this is why I like to, like, if a couple finds me first, which honestly recently there's been a lot that find me first that value video a lot, which I appreciate. I will refer, if they don't book my in-house, like my girlfriend, right, and my photography, then I will send that to someone that I trust and a photographer that I've worked with before. And it really makes a difference. It really does, because like Nelson Cinematic, shout out, like, oh my gosh, there's so many, but that was the top one that came to mind. Jordan McKinnon, when he does photography, let's see. I mean, Jimmy, um, there's a lot. Hang on, I'm thinking of the photographers. But yeah, like come to me and I will let you know like who's worth it, who I've worked with, or like here are all my preferred vendors, so that you can decide. Because that's what it is. It's not like I'm not judging just based off of the style of the photography or the style of the work. It's a lot more of like how is the experience working with that person. For example, the last one that I just did, the experience side with her business was a very like rushed, very anxiety driven, uh, just as a person. And so that's kind of how it bleeds into the event. And so I was making sure to like come in and be like, hey, do you guys need anything? You want some water? You need a break? Anything like that? Just to make sure that the couple's taken care of. For like, that is the first like rule of thumb, is make sure the couple is taken care of and that they're having a good time. Because we don't want to treat it like a shoot straight through, like a styled session, and then by the end of the day the couple they're just exhausted and they want to go home and sleep. So that is where I will end that story. That same wedding, I did have a great experience having a cohesive team where I had my second shooter Jimmy on intercom, and so we could tell each other like where you're at throughout the day. What have you been doing? We both did interviews of, he did the grooms, I did the bridesmaids, and whoever else needed an interview. Then we got the detail shots and we got the ceremony all covered. And that was like a super seamless day. And then also I had Jordan there, who was my content creator. That was amazing experience too, that I was able to give the couple a reel that same night. And which I think is awesome. Even if it wasn't like something that they would have posted, or like, something that like I am giving out more polished reels now that I have time to like work on them. But that's just something to add to the experience of like, you're able to relive your day like that night, which is really cool and makes them feel very cared for and stuff. And like, I would rather like bring out my computer and start editing a little bit during the end, if it's like a full day coverage during the end of the dancing, because I don't need all the dancing. So basically what I did was I brought up my computer and I put my camera like on standby right behind it. So and I had line of sight of the dance floor. So if there was something that went down, I could rush over there, which I did, and grab some footage really quick. And then went back and just did some really simple edits for them so that they could relive their day, which I thought was a cool little touch. The other thing I wanted to mention was a rigid approach versus a flexible approach to events. For example, that photographer that I mentioned, they were trying to be rigid to the timeline, when typically the timeline is used just as a guide and not like what actually happens for the day. Because something always runs late, something always runs over, or you'll gain a little time here in one thing and then you'll lose it in another. So you really have to kind of play it by ear. And obviously in that situation, it didn't go that way. And then also in the Indian wedding that I just did, same thing for the videography team. Because I was just doing content creation that day, they were also running the day kind of more rigidly. Like, these are the things, these are the shots, these are the moments that we need to have this stuff, because they're doing more like post shots. So they're having to like set up a light or have a light being, held by the other videographer. And that in itself eats up a lot of time. But some cool shots that you can get from that, but it does make it feel more of like a production and less of an experience for the couple. So that is just something to consider when you're doing a wedding. And I have no, like, that's the thing that I'm trying to convey, is that having like multiple shooters and like having a bigger production doesn't necessarily mean it has to be run like a production. It can still be run like a normal, laid back event, while having an organized, cohesive group of people running the show. So that's one thing. And then also, I've been taking care of all the vendors. So each vendor has been getting a reel, which is a lot of work, but it's something that I really like to do, so that everybody feels like they've gotten a little something from the day. And since I'm the only person who's doing like video for that day, um, it's nice for people to have and kind of network and tag me and stuff like that. So everybody kind of wins in that scenario. Um, and then this is kind of off topic, but cool little update. We've actually decided what we're going to do with the little podcast studio. So I will do like a little time lapse video that I'll post somewhere on social media or something, for like the whole little redesign. We're going to paint this wall. We're going to have some felt slap stuff, audio things on that side, and then some chairs. So it's going to be pretty cool. Probably like some bookshelf stuff. But yeah, keep a lookout for that. And then let's see if there's other things I wrote down here. It's funny because I was talking to ChatGPT to help me like brainstorm and come up with the things to talk about. But I don't know if it just didn't, if the microphone just shut off or something, but some of the questions aren't on here, which is pretty funny. So I'm going back to the very start of the question. Common questions, challenges your clients or audience have, changes happening in the industry. So that's one thing. Like, I definitely think content creation is a different thing that's been happening in the market in 2025. And that's exactly why I added it to my business, because it's a totally different thing, especially the way I run it. So typically people are doing, the iPhone footage of your day, maybe some edits, and you get all the media that night. What I'm doing is more of this like professional way of doing it. So it's an actual camera, just filmed vertically all day. And then that night I make a little recap for you so you can watch it and post whatever bits and moments that you'd like. And some people are saying that like this is going to replace videography, or people, or maybe like, you only want that thing instead of videography, but it really is a totally different like product at the end of the day. And so I see it more as like an add-on, something that either the photographer or the planner, the venue, or like literally anyone part of the planning process, or like the whole team of vendors can, or the couple themselves can actually purchase that. And then everybody gets a little something, which is kind of the whole benefit. And if the vendors want to split it or whatever, that's like up to them, how they want to do the financial back end of it. But back to the question was how it's different in the market. And I don't think that'll ever really replace like the actual cinematic film, because that's a story, that's all the audio, and the audio is the biggest portion. Like, you can have content with audio, but typically you're not running a vertical shot for your whole ceremony. So you're really only getting the highlights of it. And then obviously, if so I think that's something that's new that's popped up, but you kind of have to look and see shop around and see what kind of fits you best. I could see it being just photography and content creation if that's really what you value. So I guess it's just totally up to the couple, but typically what I've seen is it's more of an add-on than anything. Other trends I've been liking. That jogged my memory. So I have this couple that booked me a little while ago for this fall, and they are doing something pretty unique. They're doing a 6-hour package with another videographer, and we're doing a after wedding session in their hotel room. Excuse me. Which I think is so much fun. And they have some other like little fun ideas that we're going to do for that session, for the after wedding session. But I think the trend right now, at least what I've seen, and I love doing traditional weddings, like the traditional Indian wedding or the traditional just like outside Christian wedding or non-denominational wedding. And those are all super cool. But the unique, untraditional ones, I think I've been looking forward to the most. Like this one, they're not going to have a DJ or they're not going to have quite a few of the normal vendors that you would have. They'll have a photographer and videographer, of course, and I think the officiant's going to be like their mom or dad. But that whole concept of not wanting to have a party, like a dance party, because they're just not dance people, I think is actually genius. Because if you're having a lot of friends and family coming around from all over the country, like chances are you want to have more time just to like say hi to everybody and mingle, rather than having a dance party for a few hours. And also the footage, like I typically like I only put the dance footage in like for a few, like maybe a full minute maximum altogether. And it's really not the main part of the film. The main part of the film is the story of the couple, how they met, and just all those fun memories. The first look or the card readings or little stories, but it's celebrating their life up till that point. And I think that's something that can continue to change. I think that's going to be something that sticks. Because like if you wanted to have a party, so say, because it's all the cost thing too, right? So you wouldn't have the cost of a DJ, which it just depends on the person. You may really like to have a party like at the venue that you get to control like the kind of vibe or the music. But if you like are a party person and you just want to do, you lower the cost with the amount of hours that you're doing for the reservation of the venue. You're just, it is just a total like a time saver, I guess. And even if you did want a party, you could have, a bar that's close by lined up, or like something else lined up as like an after party out after the whole, you go like, you do your grand exit and everything ends, and you could do an after party somewhere else. So there's just a lot of options. Like you don't have to have the party at the dance floor. And that's another thing that I always recommend to couples is like, if you have elderly folks or kids or people who are going to start peeling off as the night goes on for the dancing and stuff, like I would highly recommend bumping up any type of an exit and then just saying that the after party will be back in the dance floor, so that allows people to kind of like all the non-dance people can leave, if that makes sense. And then you can go back in and actually have everybody that truly wants to party around you. And it's probably going to be a more fun time for you. And I also recommend like I typically have the dance footage of the first like 20 minutes for the dance floor, and it usually covers most of the things that you need to get for the dance stuff. I think it's only rarely that like something will happen later in the night. And here's a hot take. I really think you should only have your photographer, videographer there, uh, like just to capture if anything happens, like someone picks someone up or someone does like a backflip or something, like something that is interesting, or I'm trying to find the right word for it, something that like needs to be captured, if that makes sense. Because other than that, I'm sure a lot of couple have seen on like social media and stuff. Like we're just like flashing our flash because we already have all the photos that we need or the videos. And so you're really not getting anything from extending your hours of coverage unless you are just like, unless you already just know and understand that they're there just to capture if anything happens that's crazy or noteworthy, if that makes sense. Like, you know, I have had people lift the bride and groom on chairs, and that was a spontaneous thing that just kind of developed on the dance floor. Or someone does like the worm, or someone does an interesting dance move or whatever. And a lot of times we can just like, we watch the crowd for signs of stuff, and then we come in and we film it. So yeah, that is a interesting part for, what was the question? The things that are changing in the industry. Something that's like kind of cool after this whole Indian wedding experience, I would be definitely open to doing more. That was super fun. Definitely a lot of work because of the the time involved and the different people that are running it, but very fun just culture wise, and all the people were super fun and friendly. Um, so I would definitely be open to that. And I got a soft inquiry on Instagram for one in New Jersey, but afterwards I think they were like, "Oh, we totally thought you were based like here and not in Arizona." So we'll see how that pans out, but um I'm sure there was more that I wanted to talk about. I mean, this is random, but I'm reading a book slowly but surely, the recent Hunger Games book. Been liking that with Haymitch. Super random. Trying to think of anything, life experiences, anything that I'm excited about. I'm excited about I have a so I'm excited to edit this wedding that I just did. Um that's going to be super fun. There's a ton of cameras, there's lots of interviews, so the story's going to be fun to put together. And then here in about a month, I'll be going to Colorado and getting a very unique wedding as well over there. And I'm just happy that all of my content creator and my second shooter, they're all booked, contracts are signed, so we're all like good to go, which is relieving. And then yeah, just keep on keeping on. I'm just getting caught up on all these edits. And I filmed some stuff the other day that I'm excited about. I'm sure you'll see later. Posting more stuff. Yeah, just continuing on. So let's see if there's anything else I want to talk about before I hop off here. Teamwork, blah blah blah, communication, flexibility. Yep. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I've added a different, so my pricing sheet and packages are always not like changing drastically, but they're always like, I'm always tweaking them to fit, my ideal clientele. Interesting. And so, um, I've done a couple tweaks to my packages that I'm excited about. I've added some things, I've removed some things, and then the I have a 2K package now, and you'll only find this out if you listen to this whole podcast, which is hilarious. If you're still with me, thank you so much for watching this video and giving me my watch hours. Um, and so, and this package is interesting and unique, and I talked about it with Allie, my girlfriend, over some dinner, and she had great ideas, and this was the idea. So, like, it's basically a doc edit and 4 hours of coverage. So it's like bare bones. There's no story driven aspect to the film. I'm not. There's no interviews. There's no nothing. It's just I have everything set up by the time ceremony is ready to start, and then I film ceremony. Maybe some people I set up for grand entrance, um, and this whole time maybe filming some things if there's literally any free time, and then the grand entrance dances, uh, depending on the whole day, maybe a break for dinner and then speeches, or whatever. Typically, sometimes they switch those up, speeches and then dinner, and then doc edits typically don't take me too long to put together, and so that's I think would be a good alternative for people who are looking for a more budget friendly, side of videography to capture them, because that's the whole thing that makes me sad is like I don't want to be like I want to have enough options for everybody so that it's not like, oh well, sorry, you can't have your memories captured, right? Like I want to be able to have their memories captured, um, and still serve them, but have those different tiers. So now I have like a few different tiers, and then I've even added another Indian wedding package because they're typically like 2 or 3 days, depending on the type of celebration that they're doing. And so yeah, I'm super excited for all that. Those are the updates. I think I've talked long enough. The coffee is gone, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next podcast.